Hi, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of my 12 favorite Diana Ross albums. I want to thank you for all your love and all your messages and all your kindness and support. And today we are surrendering once again to the love of Diana Ross with this amazing album called Surrender. This is Diana Ross' third solo album. Technically, it's the fourth album. This is the third studio album, but it's the fourth album because she just before that had a television special entitled Diana, in which she received the Jackson 5, and it was just before Lady Sings the Blues. So this is, in 1971, a very prolific time for Miss Ross. She really was going all directions, the television specials, albums, and the movie career. So it was really an amazing time for Diana Ross' career. And this album, the reason I wanted to speak about Surrender is because, first of all, it's one of my favorite albums. And also, when I was deciding on what 12 albums I was going to pick, and as I told you before, I wanted to be really choosy. I wanted to talk about the ones I knew the most and the ones that I thought were completely perfect and that had a story. Now, when I listened to this, I really thought to myself, this is the blueprint to The Boss. This is a very first version of The Boss. Now, this album is entirely written by the fabulous duo Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson, except for one song. I'll come back to it. And it is produced by them like her very first album. But this one, all of the songs have some kind of message and very much talk about the difficulties of love and the joys of love, and also the different emotions that a woman will go through in a relationship. So again, many songs, and I'll come back in each one, will remind you of themes from The Boss. Now, of course, this is me really looking into it, but again, it's not surprising. This is written by Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson, and so they are a couple. They write in a certain way, and as I've always believed, great authors, great artists always redo the same thing each time. They just tell the story differently. Now, this song begins with Surrender, and again, right away, this is what I adore with these albums, which I consider perfect. The first note, and you know exactly what's gonna happen, and it starts with this, this beat that's tum 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 tum, it's almost military, and Diana Ross starts, I want the love that you denied me, and she asks, well, she demands, surrender your love, and you know that again, she is very much in charge, just like in The Boss. And also, she knows what she wants. And it's very, very powerful. The second song is I Can't Give Back the Love I Feel for You. The original version is by Rita Wright. Beautiful. And for me, the very first time I heard this song was by Stephanie Mills, who is another artist that I love and admire so much. And so I Can't Give Back the Love, sung by Stephanie Mills. That's when I heard the song for the first time on an album called Tantalizingly Hot, produced by, guess who? Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson. And to me, again, one of Stephanie Mills' greatest albums. Remember Me, a hit for this album, top 20 hit, and the single sold 500,000, so much more than the album. And of course, Diana Ross sang it in concert, and it's a beautiful song. Remember me as a sunny day that you once had along your way. Again, that's really very much a characteristic of the way Ashford and Simpson write their songs. They compare elements, and sometimes very simple things, just like It's My House, there's my chair, there's a candle to light the stair, and everything is compared. And here again, it's Remember Me as a big balloon. And Diana Ross sings it in Las Vegas in that purple fringed, I don't even know what you can call that piece. It's unique. And then she twirls and the thing goes up in the air, and that's when I faint. even today, I still watch it and I lose my mind. And If You See Him is a song which has very Brazilian notes to it. It's sung just like in the Brazilian music, you have two voices. You have one that's just very, very low and one very high. And it just kind of very, although it's a sad song because it's Diana Ross is asking, if you see him, tell him I miss him, tell him I love him. It's kind of got that Brazilian samba-ish feel to it. And then Diana Ross sings Reach Out, I'll Be There. Now, Reach Out, I'll Be There was a huge hit for the Four Tops. And also, it was sung by Gloria Gaynor in that a disco album that Gloria Gaynor did. And it is, just for the record, the first album where all the songs were attached as one, because it was made for the premise of the discotheques, and so you could play the entire album. It never stops. It just goes in one into the other. And Gloria Gaynor, again, an amazing songstress, interprète, and she sings it beautifully. But Diana Ross sings it like you've never heard, or like you've heard. It just begins so slowly with just an organ, and it's going to remind you of the original version of Ain't No Mountain High Enough. It's almost, Ain't No Mountain High Enough was given to Diana Ross by Ashford and Simpson, as they said, to showcase her incredible speaking voice. Because as you may know, Diana Ross is a minister, and when she speaks or when she does her monologues in her concerts, you could hear a pin drop. And so Reach Out, I'll Be There is very much written musically in that way. It just very slow and builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, and then wow, I'll Be There. And so this is the only song that is written by Lamont Dozier Hollande. Excuse I prefer to say it in French because I know it's Dozier, because I've heard Diana Ross say it, but I'm not too sure. So Lamont Dozier Hollande, that's how I say it in French. And all it's such a famous song, but sung by Diana Ross, it is just a completely different song. You really could think you've never heard it before. It's reorchestrated and interpreted in a completely different way. Then this is side B. So of course now today there's no more side B, but when I got the album, I got it in the 80s, and it was a cassette, so it had the side B, and it starts with Didn't You Know You Have to Cry Sometime, and that's a song that was a hit by Gladys Knight and the Pips. So there are three songs that were sung and recorded by other artists, and this is one of them. And it's got a lot of tambourines, and it's a very, very, the entire album is a very soulful album. And also, the reason why I wanted to speak about this album is because I always talk about the way Diana Ross is like a phoenix. She renews herself. She's born again each time. You think, okay, this is Diana Ross, and then all of a sudden a whole new artist, a whole new theme, a whole new style appears. And you have to remember that Diana Ross, as a Supreme and as the leader of the Supremes, Diana Ross and the Supremes, Berry Gordy's very important wish was for Diana Ross to be what he called the crossover star, meaning she was going to become the artist that was going to appeal to everybody, all generations, everyone, to a point that she kind of lost a little bit of the youth and the hype, because they sang with the Andrews Sisters, and they sang with Ethel Merman, they did the Hollywood Palace, and they did the television shows that were very family oriented. They didn't do Lawrence Welk, but it was kind of that. And they did all of these. They would sing the old hits from the ragtime, and they did, Top Hats and Canes, and it's fantastic. And when you see it today, it's just, you see the enormous amount of work and talent. But they also sang songs like The Impossible Dream, and they recorded Funny Girl, the entire score to Funny Girl. This is how much of a Barbra Streisand Berry Gordy was trying to push the image of Diana Ross. Now, she was very sophisticated, and they were all extremely sophisticated and elegant. But this is going into the 70s, and you had some girls that were arriving that had, no makeup or very little makeup. The hair was becoming natural. And so all of a sudden, the Supremes were kind of, well, what you might hear people say, my mother loves you. And remember, Diana Ross was a very, very young woman. And so this is where we get back to the album cover, because Diana Ross is the smartest woman in the world, and her image she controls. So what does she do? A funkadelic album cover where it's just the face, no makeup, blue. So the blue inside eye makeup is called kohl, or I think you use that word in English again. It's an Arabic word which actually means black. Kohl, it's the color black. And the women in where I come from in Morocco, it is of stone that they ground to a fine powder, and then they're able to put it inside their eyes. And in the south of Morocco, where I come from, they do not have kohl. It's not black, the stone is blue. And so Diana Ross has that in her eyes. So imagine how excited I was when I saw that album cover. So again, almost no makeup, the big, big, big eyelashes, and you can tell that she has an afro hairstyle, even though everything is black. You can tell that it's just a very natural hair, and the hoop earrings. And what is she telling everybody? I'm a young woman, and I'm going to sing music of today. And again, this is what is so exciting, because the next album is Lady Sings the Blues, and there she goes singing Billie Holiday and music from the 30s. So this is what I adore, and why I wanted to make these videos and give to you the love and admiration that I have for Miss Ross for all these years. It's that she is someone who has done, like many artists of her time, what we called in those days a career, which meant you go up, down, up, down, up, down, but you try things. And sometimes you get gold, and sometimes you get nothing. And when you hear Diana Ross talk today, and in the 90s, she had an interview with Barbara Walters, who I met, and I used to dress in one of the shops I worked in Paris. And Barbara Walters says to her, oh, you just had a television show that wasn't a big hit. And she was talking about the Red Hot Rhythm and Blues album and television show that followed. And Diana Ross said, move on, I'm moving on. Okay, well, it didn't work. Okay, fine, it didn't do that well. Next project. And she, so I mean, she just, no, I take back what I said. I'll cut it out. Then there's my favorite song in the album, because it's called A Simple Thing Like Cry. Now, I love these songs that kind of tell heartbreak in a different way. And this is, if it and the outline of the song is, if it didn't hurt so bad, maybe I could do a simple thing like cry. Meaning that she's in such pain for the loss of her partner that she can't even cry. And it's really, it's very heart-wrenching to hear that. And then what I love is she has those little hiccups. I don't know how to describe them. Her voice is just so very high, and she just goes, like that, and it's just so cute. And at the end of the song, while she's singing, maybe I could cry, she says boohoo. And it's such a cute song. I mean, it's a very sad song, but it's just a fantastic. I wrote in my notes boohoo just to remember to say it. And then a song called Did You Read the Morning Paper, where Again, to me, this song reminds me of No One Gets the Prize, because she's talking to her partner and she's saying, did you read the paper? There's a picture of a crowd and a parade, and there's a beautiful girl, and next to her, it's you. So she's telling this guy, I know about it. It also is reminds you very much of the way an amazing song called Guess Who I Saw Today, which was sung by Eartha Kitt, one of my idols and one of Diana Ross's idols, and also sung by Nancy Wilson, an amazing star. She was admired by Mary Wilson of the Supremes. There's an interview of the Supremes very young, because it's with Florence Ballard, so it's the early Supremes. And Mary Wilson says that, you know, her idol is Nancy Wilson, and Diana Ross says, for me it's Marvin Gaye. So you can tell the difference, the way what they were listening to. And also in that interview, nothing to do with the album, Diana Ross says, I want 6 children. And it's so incredible, because this is a very young girl who's becoming an international star, but already, and she had a lot of things on her plate, but already she knew that she wanted to have children. And she doesn't have 6, she has 5, but that's pretty good. And as Shirley MacLaine said to her in an interview, with that body, you have 5 kids. So I'm a Winner is a song that was first recorded by Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. This is a song that I love because of the beat and because of the rhythm. And this song compares love and gambling. So, you know, Diana Ross, you know, rolls the dice, 7-Eleven, you'll take me down or you'll take me to heaven. And so, again, very, very much in charge. And I'm a Winner could be, you know, compared again to I Ain't Been Licked from The Boss. That's why I find so many elements of comparison to these 2 albums. And the very last song is called All the Befores, a beautiful, complete orchestra of a beautiful love song. And it is a song where about coming back, about accepting the breakups and the mistakes that are made in a loving relationship, and then just taking it all in and then trying to make things work. So again, Diana Ross' voice is just absolutely passionate and beautiful, and the song is made to measure for her. And this is what completes the album that I consider one of her greatest works. Although I have decided to choose 12 albums to speak of, but I think it could very well be 40. So thank you so much for sharing with me again one of Diana Ross' greatest albums, and thank you for sharing all your love for Diana Ross with me. I love your messages, and I'll be back next week with another great Diana Ross recording.